Welcome back. We are here for The Between Stars and Suns, Season 2, Episode 25, Part 1 of our finale, The Mastermind Threat. Whew. It's been a bit, and I'm just going to say that a little time has passed. Not a lot. Perhaps there's been some reports of some strange activity around London and streaks of red in the sky, even at night. But no one can understand necessarily what's going on, although there's been an increase in paranoia during these strange times. And I just want to know, what are the denizens of Hargrave House doing in this time?
In the short term, Liat has been trying to rebuild Abdurrahman. It's been tricky though. It seems like the spell that she'd cast when she used his body as sort of the vessel to hold the essence of the King in Shadows seems to have had a lasting effect on Abdurrahman, and so he has not been operational ever since. And so she's been sort of learning how to do things with human servants because she's not obviously going to do anything on her own. So there's been actual like people in the house serving as her help, as her attendants, instead of just the one. And she has not been very patient with them because they don't understand her immediate wants and desires the way that Dorman did. It was, it was body language that he understood. He just, they'd spent centuries together. So um, trying to kind of catch up with that sort of rapport is obviously going to take some time that these unfortunate attendants have not had. But other than that, Liat's been catching up with Guinevere, who I imagine has been staying at the house, sort of getting acclimated to 19th century living.
And so she has. The numerous amounts of rooms here at Hargrave House have, of course, accommodated, but I don't think that she's needed an extra room, has she?
Oh no, I don't think so either. I think that she has her own room, which is, whatever she needs. If she wants like a little studio to paint or
Mm,
to
mm,
make artwork, she does a lovely artist in her day.
yes.
Um, if she needs a closet, because obviously Liat is showering her with lots of custom gowns and accessories and the like. But otherwise, yeah, no, they sleep in the same bed.
Okay, very cool. How has John been dealing with coming back from the Russian embassy and then coming back to his lab?
I think in recent times, with Liat's own prolificities, as he were, the house feels more crowded. There's people around at every corner, and I've seen that Guinevere sort of exploring the house. It's not hard to direct these people around to keep their eyes off what matters to me. But still, It's unsettling. The house creaks and moans in ways that I've not heard before. It's not quiet. It's filled with life. And I think what unnerves me the most is the when I see Liat, she is filled with life as well. I think she's happy.
How do you feel about that, John?
For all of her evil schemes, she still holds them in high regard. But right now, I feel like I've been tossed aside.
And Sir Atticus. Hmm. You've
Contentment.
ah.
It is an unusual feeling. It's like having a good meal or having finished a great work. But it's more than that because the paranoia of being constantly hunted and always preparing for the big one is done. How much time would you say has passed since the beast was dealt with?
At least a week, if not a fortnight.
I think in that time there have been visits to Father MacDonald. There have been chats with our friends at the spy office. He's been able to have meals with his sister in peace. He's chatted with Pettigrew about some threat or other that really didn't deign the notice of Hargrave House. He's keeping busy with little frivolities, but he's content. Not as driven as he was before. But he knows that there's a season for everything. And it's only inevitable that something will come up. It has to. It must.
And as your playbook or the associated sheet demands, you need to frame an intimate scene with another hunter. Intimate, of course, having different levels, whatever. But yeah, just mulling over the nature of the lack of the beast. So, need to ask the question, or the other hunter would ask the question. Here we go. Let me just read it out loud. Special rule: after this threat is resolved, ask the legacy to frame an intimate scene with a fellow hunter, in which the legacy ponders if they can ever truly be free from their namesake. The other hunter can grant that freedom by affirming the legacy's growth and comforting them. If they do, the legacy may describe how they retire from monster hunting and go on to live a normal life. They are now retired from play. If the other hunter does not believe they've changed, or the legacy chooses to stay in the business, continue play as normal. So who would you have this scene with?
This could work with both people, honestly. I think I want to have a vulnerable scene with Liat later. And John has gone on record as specifically asking the what then question. So I think it would work with John.
Okay. Alrighty. So if you want to frame that up first, and you could fold it into a vulnerable move, I'm happy to entertain that. And I will say, as this is the final threat, if you want to Weiss invite the other hunter to ask a question about your past, you can do so. If you decide on stumbling onto a clue, you will hold that in reserve towards the mastermind threat. So, okay, either way.
Okay. Do you remember what Father MacDonald's church is?
St. Cecilia's Cathedral.
It will be in St. Cecilia's Cathedral. It is a Sunday afternoon. They've already had their mass or whatever it is that they do on the Sundays. And it's quiet. And I think, John, that you've been invited by Atticus.
Yeah.
And you just see him there in the upper levels looking over empty pews and There's some incense that's probably a little too cheap and knockoffish to be appropriate for a place like this, but you see him just there taking it in.
Sir Atticus.
John, I'm glad you could make it. Please take a seat.
I will sit down in one of the pews. Eh, Is there a reason that you called me here?
Well, due to extenuating circumstances, the person that I would normally confess to isn't here. Or he is, but not in the capacity to hear my confession.
Exactly what are you confessing?
Well, it depends, John. You asked once, what do I do once it's done? And I can tell you with some assurance that it's done. The beast will no longer be a problem for me or my sister or anyone else in my family here or elsewhere.
Did you kill it?
No. Should I only have been so lucky? No, it was words, as expected of the Fae. But it was a good fight. And with an old friend, too. Unexpected surprise, though it was. I'm glad I was able to find them. Are you much of a God-fearing man, John?
Wouldn't say that I have much fear for God, at least these days. I wander out about in the world, and it's a bit lonely, as though we've grown up and we are out of the house now. On our own, making our own decisions and choices.
I see. For my family, it's not something that they really deal with. We're chased by beasts and we answer to a higher call, as my father would say. But being in a place like this, it just kind of separates you from everything out there. We can just reflect on who you truly are. I think I'll continue to hunt. I think it is who I am. But before I can do so, John, I need to know, would you hear me in my confession? In all the terrible things that I have done in pursuing this beast that I let run free?
I would hear you for your own soul, but do not cause your own damnation, Atticus.
It isn't for absolution, and it isn't out of guilt. Regret does nothing, and it doesn't bring back the people who I've harmed. Think of it more as a memory, a legacy, if you would.
I'm not sure if I have a need for legacies or anything of that nature. And I'm not sure if you need one as well. You could just be yourself. And I will support you in whatever decision you make. Because at the very least, you've earned your own life. This is not for your family. This is just for you.
Thank you, John. I had a younger brother once. Shame I had to kill him. but he was a lot like you. Quiet, intelligent, driven. I'm glad to have met you, John.
Any conditions addressed in that scene, if you
I have
wanted
no
to?
conditions at this time.
Okay. I mean, a vice had to be in play. I mean, if you wanted to count incense as the smoking,
I was
okay.
gonna say confessing sins, but
Oh, that's
John,
right. That's right.
The previous vice that my guy had, I figured, well, call back again.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I don't think this clears anything for me.
It's still marked by Geppetto, and you can't remove the worshiper condition, right?
I could, but I don't think it gets cleared in this case because, like, I am in quote unquote a place of worship. I think this is just leaning into that.
Yeah. Probably.
Liat's like, my worship location is so much better than Saint Cecilia's.
Yes, probably. Love it. Love it.
But let's see. Yeah, I think you may ask a question if you'd like, John.
Mm-hmm. I know if I've already asked this once already. And I know you've already decided that you will continue to hunt. But what about Liat? What will happen with her and you?
If you're referring as to whether I'm going to kill Liat Kanaan.
Not kill her. I don't think you're that harsh, but
my sister, though. My sister would most certainly advocate for killing Liat. If you're referring to certain bargains, well, aside from Liat being currently indisposed, I believe I can argue my way out of that particular bargain. And then after that, who knows?
Do you care for her at all?
As prey? It would be wonderful. It would be a wonderful fight, to be sure. At least 1,000 years of combat prowess, and her worshippers probably outnumber me 100 to 1. As a friend? Friendship with immortals is difficult on both sides. The perspectives are difficult to grasp. And, well, any sense of attachment would be painful for the immortal.
You continue to baffle me, Atticus.
And so I have the rest of my family. Again, you show similarities to them, and you should speak with my sister. Again, I think you'd get along quite swimmingly.
Maybe at this point it would be safe to do so, whether seeking some sort of ire from their enthusiasm for the hunts. Maybe that has been tempered a little bit, even if your enthusiasm really has not been.
No, it hasn't.
I'm sorry.
Why?
Your path was always laid before you, and it doesn't seem that you will be ever truly free to make your own decision. And I think that's the main difference between you and I. I got to make my own decisions in my life. There are things I do regret and mistakes that I am trying to rectify. But all of the choices I've made have been mine.
Were I more intellectual, I would try arguing against that. Can a person really choose what they do? Does anyone ask to be born into whatever circumstance or placed in whatever situation they find themselves in? But that was more Father McDonald's nonsense. Free will and predestination, all that nonsense. All we can do is move forward, John. That's what I've done. That's what you should do too.
All right.
Let's go find Liat and see what's going on with that bow of hers. Probably painting again or some other nonsense. I wonder if she can make tea.
Fade out of that scene. Later in the day, Liat, you have some conditions that you could conceivably remove, but
Oh no, I'd love to remove them. I was hoping to actually have a scene with each of them at some point, if it's okay.
perfect.
Yeah.
Which one would you like to frame up first?
Let's do Dr. Weiss first. And I have an idea.
Okay.
But I think it would be your Weiss, Dr. Weiss.
I think, as like Sir Atticus said, whether or not she can make tea, I think we cut to sort of a kettle that's being boiled for coffee instead of tea.
And Liat will present herself. She's dressed in this sort of bright emerald silken like day coat. Just very big and voluminous. Lots of ostrich feathers on it. She comes up and says, Dr. Weiss, is it? Yes?
Yes.
I need something from you. Come,
All right.
bring the coffee.
Oh, okay.
And she begins to march you towards your laboratory.
And as like John is bringing this coffee along, he's keeping his eye out for any of your wayward servants, because I don't want to be followed. Liat, this house has been crowded as of late.
Yes, it's been the cleanest it's been in, I'm sure, decades. You have me to thank for that, by the way.
It's not my fault for the wayward souls that end up inside here. Do keep my place nice and tidy.
Well, if you'd like, I can send someone in to clean the baseboards.
No.
Very well. And she pushes open the door to your laboratory, and inside, sitting on like I imagine maybe like a medical chair, or like a slab next to the child, or pieces of your child, is Guinevere. You are a physician, yes?
Yes.
I need you to, Guinevere. Sorry, where are my manners? This is my darling Guinevere. This Guinevere is Dr. John Weiss. He, if you're permitted, will be examining you today, making sure that you are up to standard, up to health, as it were. I know that, well, and Liat sort of moves closer to Dr. Weiss and speaking in a hushed tone says, she's been gone a rather long time. I just want to make sure that her body and mind are both in adequate position for what is to come.
I mean, I could give you an examination as well, because you are very, very fascinating, and you've been testing my patience with this. It's only fair.
Perhaps. We'll see how this one goes.
And I think, like, from like this extremely dirty look of John Weiss had been having this entire scene. Like he puts on his sort of a nice doctor face and having like sort of conversations about just what she knows about herself and just sort of like how she feels like how she's been acclimating to society, and I'll ask permission to like touch her and just like see like feel her pulse and whatnot. Sort of texting reactions.
Oh, you're not going to bloodlet me then?
No. That is only under certain extreme circumstances. It's not very popular nowadays. This is just basic physical examination. Make sure everything is in working order. There's no reason to take blood at this point.
Yes, my dear, we've moved on from the four humors. There is an extensive amount of medical research that's been happening here in London. It's quite riveting, really.
Amazing. This has just been so enlightening and just beautiful, even under all of the soot, I suppose. Yes, please. And she answers your questions, and she, lets you know that she's seems fine. Um, you will notice, though, giving this one to you for free, I think you will notice that she seems to be running, even though she's not sweating or anything like that. She just seems to be running warmer than most people.
I think that when it looks sort of like they're winding down, Liat will tap Dr. Weiss on the shoulder and sort of pull him aside and say, "Well, is it a good bill of health then?"
So far, it seems that she is all right. The only thing I've noted is an increased temperature. I would like to examine you just to see if like it's just a base point between people of unusual kinds.
I'm so curious, Dr. Weiss.
Mhm.
I don't usually let my subjects touch me in such a way, unless, of course, I permit them to, or unless they give me something. What would you give me for this chance to touch divinity?
I would give you knowledge. You're you're intensely curious about making sure that your beloved is all right. And well, you are the closest thing she has for any reference from that time. She's been
Oh, I'm teasing you, Dr. Weiss. There's such a pill. Yes, you may. And she just sort of pulls off her coat. She's naked underneath it, of course.
I think Dr. Weiss is just exasperated by this because, of course, this is what she is getting out of it. His own little embarrassment.
Uh, Guinevere, dear, do try some of the coffee. It is, well, it's a different blend than you might be accustomed to, but you might enjoy it.
I think as you make to examine Liat, I think she will go towards the coffee. And then when she comes back after taking a face-changing sip, I think she's going to kind of go over to the child, kind of look over the pieces that you have, and she will actually make a comment of, "What ritual is this? What are you doing here?"
Yes, Dr. Weiss. What are you doing there?
You want to ask me that question?
I do.
Out of character. Ask me that question as a
Yeah.
question for my past.
Yeah.
Okay. I lost someone dear to me, and I want to bring them back.
Oh,
Uh, a ballet dancer. He came from Russia. I'm terribly awful with words and whatnot, so I never could learn the language all that too well, and it's been years since I spoke it. But he was a very clever lad. Learned English practically overnight, just because he cared for me. Just want to understand what I say, even all my technical applications of the sciences and whatnot. His name was Dimitri.
Dmitri. Interesting. Well, how do you plan to bring him back? I mean, do you have the spark of life? Do you have his soul?
Liat, you can bring him back.
Well, I could.
You brought me back.
I did. But you were worth it, my dear. And she sort of reaches out and caresses her cheek.
I'm I'm not sure how long you've been away, Miss Guinevere, but Liat does not do charity cases.
It is very powerful magic that I possess. It is not something I wield lightly. But in any event, what is your diagnosis of me? A good, clean bill of health.
Does Liat's temperature run high as well?
I mean, not unnaturally so, I don't think. Though she does have a certain animal magnetism, I imagine, about her.
Hmm.
You will notice, though, that she has no scars or anything on her body.
Perfect bill of health, indeed.
Yes, perfect would be
Question.
the word for it.
Question.
Yes.
You've hinted at a very, very, very ancient history. Curious. Do you have a belly button?
No.
That would be something that John would notice.
Yes. This is a fun fact that I know as well. Not everyone has a belly button. Is a very common feature, but sometimes during birth, the sort of scarring tissue allows them to like form a flat surface on their stomach. So
Well, you would notice there is no any kind of semblance of a scar. It just looks like she is made that way.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
well, if we are all done here, then I will let you continue your work. Guinevere, come.
she will follow you, Liat. But before she does, she will go over to the doctor as she's putting down the coffee cup, and she will lean down and whisper into your ear, "I will see what I can do. I can't imagine being separated too long from your love." And then she will follow Liat out. Any conditions?
I was trying to get tidings through time by having Dr. Weiss do the checkup on Guinevere.
Okay. Yeah. Could do that.
Would Worshipper get cleared for this interaction? Because I was not a very good Worshipper in the scene. Basically, once I get rid of the condition, I also get rid of the dawn question.
Ah, yes. Yeah, I mean, that's a...
Because I'm pretty sure in the scene I do not get cleared marked by Geppetto, so...
Right. So long as they have the condition. So...
Yeah. I think I cleared the condition.
If you want. I mean, I don't know why. I don't see why you'd want to, but if you want, you can.
Okay, you know what? I'll keep it then.
Oh my god.
John is going to go into this mastermind threat with 2 conditions. Let's
for
go.
You
2
got
on
plenty of
clearing
master room.
conditions from vulnerable scenes.
God. Oh god. Okay. Um uh any more scenes?
Yes, I would like to have one with Atticus.
Sure.
Um, and I'll use my vice, but I think it would be sort of him coming to see me.
Yeah.
Since I think he had already said, right, you were gonna go pay her a visit.
Yeah, of course. Been
I-
giving you like a week of space. Want to see what all the hubbub is about, who this Guinevere person is.
Yeah, so I'll be in my room.
All right. Atticus stumbles in, stomping his big old boots. Not really, I mean, probably being a little careful with the servants you have scurrying about.
Yeah, I think when you get into the room, you see that there are some attendants who seem to be praying at the foot of the kind of like ceremonial slab that you see just sort of mounds of black sand on. And you don't see Guinevere anywhere. She's been excused because this is a ritual space right now. And you see Liat just sort of like her both of her hands on the slab and her head down, just sort of looking exasperated.
Atticus will knock on the door frame. Am I interrupting? Big, ancient, powerful ritual and the like.
No, no, you may come. Enter.
Atticus will step in. No luck still.
No. It seems the magic that I used in that ritual. And you see that when you get closer to the slab, you see that there's like a foot, like below the knee to a foot has been made, and then like 3/4 of Abdurrahman's head has been reshaped.
Mm.
And she sort of gently caresses the cheek that's been remade. I think this is it for him.
Strange. Of all the individuals that I've met, I figured you to be the most driven. I didn't think that you'd simply accept defeat like that. Beg,
It is
borrow,
not
steal,
defeat.
kill.
It is not defeat. After all, we won. We banished the king. Abdurrahman has served me faithfully, though, for these several millennia. Well, if this is his time to rest, then it will be his time to rest. And she's not looking at Atticus at all. She's just kind of keeping her hand on his cheek and looking into like the blank eyes of Abdurrahman.
Hmm.
It is so very hard to find good help these days.
I can understand that. It does give some more context to you being so readily willing to make an agreement with me.
Yes. Speaking of that agreement,
I figured you'd want to speak of it.
well, I do need a replacement after all.
Unfortunately, Yad, I'm going to have to say I don't think you fulfilled your end of the bargain.
Oh, but I do. Unless, of course, the beast was not destroyed.
Indeed, it was not. Perla, the Fey Lord, simply broke the curse and yanked the beast's leash so that it would not harry my family anymore.
What a diplomatic approach for you, Sir Atticus. Well, I wasn't expecting it.
Neither was I. But I did a favor, and it seems as though a favor was paid in kind. As for us, though, I don't think I can quite bend the knee as we had expected.
Well, it is good that you are here then, even if you aren't kissing my toes at this point. But we do have bigger fish to fry. It is a saying that you have here in London, isn't it?
I believe it is catching on in the local vernacular.
As you know, of course, my dearest has returned to me.
I have. It's made you somewhat domestic.
Perhaps. But we are not out of the woods yet. And this is when she sort of breaks away from Abdurrahman. And you'll see that, like, on a board, there's a large sort of map, but it looks like a star map.
Hmm.
But she has different, like, passages and pages and pieces of different mastermind clues sort of propped up against it. It is the matter of that queen who took her from me and who has taken much from this house, including Dame Georgie.
So
Not that I have any love lost for him, but it is a matter that we should tend to.
Very well. I'm an agent for hire. We have a beast that must be slain, and you are without a defender. I won't go kissing your toes, Liat, but I see no reason why you should be without a protector, at least. After that, you're a big girl. You're an immortal. You can figure it out.
Up to you. You think I need you for protection? No.
No, I simply am having at least a little bit of pity for your servants. I imagine that it takes a lot of them to try and measure up to a small fraction of Abdurrahman.
It does. And still they come up short. And she says that looking right at one of the servants who is, like, buffing at the floor. No, I need your ability to track, to find things. She is a creature of another nature. One that perhaps you may have fought, one that you may not have, and that you can add to your tome. Either way, we need to find her and eliminate her. Send her and Reverie a lesson. Do not fuck with Liat Kanaan.
Very well. This sounds like a promising hunt.
But then we agree.
Of course, Liat.
And she extends her hand.
And Atticus will gently take it and give a mocking bow over the hand. My services are yours for the hunt.
Very good. That is all. I need to, and she looks back at Abdurrahman. I need to finish tending to whatever I can of his remains before I lay him to rest.
Atticus will take something out of his jacket and he will leave it next to the ritual slab in case this helps. I would like to leave the glowing vial of Kilburn demon extract, courtesy of our good friend Nim Granby.
How generous. Thank you. And she'll take it up, looking at it, eyeing it.
Atticus will silently wave and then leave.
Oh, before that, who gets
It
to
is
ask the
your
question
vice.
here?
Yeah, you got it.
So I get to ask a question?
Well,
Or
it's
you
your
get to ask me the
vice.
question?
Either I ask you a question or we find a clue.
No, well, we don't have clues yet, so
We
unless
can bank them.
you can bank them. So it's up to you, I guess. Or is it up to me?
It is up to you.
We haven't
Your
played
vice.
in like weeks, so I'm forgetting.
It is your vice. You get to choose exposition or mechanical benefit.
Exposition. Let's do it.
Okay. After the queen is done and dusted, where will you go, Liat?
I'm not entirely sure. It's been quite some time since I've been to the Americas. They were a completely different size and shape the last time I was there. It'd be interesting to see what it's like, the people who live there now.
If they're anything like the American that I've met, they will definitely be the sort to entertain you, Liat.
She doesn't say anything back to that. I think she just smiles, as much as she can without making her face wrinkle. And she sees you on your way before going back to Abdurrahman.
Yep.
Okay, so just looking at that scheming.
No, marked by Reverie.
okay.
It was sort of like she's not afraid of Reverie. She's just going in.
We're
Okay.
going to war.
Okay. Uh, any other, yeah, any other scenes that you guys want to have, either by yourselves or with an NPC or anything like that? Anything?
We're good for now.
Alrighty.
I'm
So,
satisfied.
John?
Oh, good on my end. We're going in with this 2 conditions. Yeah.
Oh, God.
Yeah, let's go.
Sorry. The player me is just like, oh, I'm so sorry. And then the GM me is just like, okay. Have at it. All right. So, during the Mastermind threat, there are no phases. Any moves indicated by a phase will be on a case-by-case basis or not apply at all. There's only one dawn phase equivalent, and that is at the conclusion of the Mastermind threat. Any moves that are related to gathering Mastermind clues are ignored for that particular part because we are no longer collecting Mastermind clues, of course. And to start, mechanically, you can each only bring 3 personal quarter items along for whatever happens next.
Okay.
So please pick them out by highlighting them in your personal quarters so I know what you'll be bringing.
If we've marked them all, do they become unmarked, or are we?
I would imagine by this time you guys have all done your like, full advancements, so I thought that would included the like unmark all personal quarters items. So
Oh, I had already
just
done
go.
that one.
Oh gosh, I
Did
wish
you?
I
Yeah.
wish I had that on my advancements.
Oh, that's right, because yours applies only to the marking of the burden, yeah?
Mm-hmm. Still
Uh-huh.
good, but gosh, I wish I could uncheck all of the sweet gear I have.
It's season 2.
Oh,
Whatever you have.
oh,
Checked or not?
I will
Unchecked or
note, Liat does have the collection.
Do I?
Yes,
You
you have
do?
Oh yeah, I've
the
got the Holy
collection.
Grail. Yeah.
Yeah, so Liat's has personal quarters items.
Yeah, I guess I do. I don't want to give them to anybody though. I'm a hoarder. Yeah.
No, but I want to see you just in the middle of combat flash back to like Julius Caesar's bloodied toga
I
and
might.
be
I
like, this
might.
is relevant.
Oh my God, it's great. That is sure that well, anyway. For her, in addition to 3 personal quarters items, whatever. Yeah, but yeah, 3 personal quarters items, please. Just highlight it in your.
Done.
Okay.
Yeah.
And one of them is a real big throwback.
Man, I just have the weird stuff left.
Like what? You already got rid of my teeth.
I have my fleshed terrarium, my bottle of Dr. Rogan's botanical elixir for men, and my dented stage armor.
Oh, you're not taking the skin tattoo?
I'm not that's for my child.
Ah, right. Oh, also, Mads, we didn't pick the item that I would get from the beast, but given that Mastermind locks me out to 3 things, I'm fine with just the 3 I have.
Mhm.
Oh, I thought you did, actually. Beast is dealt with peacefully. Name a memento that reminds them of their family because you had to think about it. So I figured that's outside of what I thought, because
Yeah, no, but since we only take 3 items, I'm gonna just take the 3 I highlighted.
you sure?
Yeah.
Okay. Alrighty. Just out of curiosity, what was the memento?
It was a family seal. Just the Wellington-Hughes, like, personal seal, denoting our title, our lands, the whole nine.
Got it. Okay.
Atticus is leaving it behind. It is just Atticus Wellington-Hughes going into combat.
Got it. Okay. God. Wow. Oops. Let me see. Okay. Alrighty. So, I think you all settle down for the evening doing what you do. And Guinevere has actually been wandering the halls and exploring Hargrave House, marveling at how it just looks so much bigger inside than it does outside, as you know. But I think in her wanderings, I think she comes upon a closet that she has not seen before. And it's not the usual door frame. I think this particular door seems to be framed by what essentially looks like embedded roots in it. And we see the camera do a slow pan of this frame, and her hand reaching for the knob of this particular door. And when she does, I think you will all hear a scream wherever you're variously located in Hargrave House. And this scream comes from the top floor or near the top floor.
I mean, if it's Guinevere's scream,
Yeah.
and I feel like she would know it, she's immediately rushing, and she's like, and all the attendants who are with her immediately start rushing after her.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yep. Sword in hand, following suit. Let's go.
Let's go.
John with coffee in hand, or
Listen, he doesn't have it all the time, much to his dismay. I think at like this point at the like John is like it's taken out of like his work and is trying to like get a move on, but as like people are rushing about in the house, I think he just takes a look around trying to calculate because like what could be under threat? Is this a sort of distraction or something else? He's keeping in mind of like who's here and who is not.
And, pardon, and I think that when you rush up to the topmost floor, you will see a door very much open in the hallway. Maybe it's a door you've never noticed before, but you do see the embedded roots on the outside of it. And you do see that those roots have etchings, runes, markings. And Liat, I think you might recognize one of them, like one of the symbols that's etched on the roots. It looks like the mark of the Phaedonic Society. I don't know if you remember what that is.
did they have something to do with the aliens?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes, it did. And the door is wide open, and you can see that inside this closet is what looks like a system of roots, tree branches, and roots entangling around and within each other. And you hear further up the root system, you hear Guinevere's screams. Liat! Liat! Help me!
Liat stands at the door. She's not screaming back at her in any kind of panic, but she's just sort of resolute, and both of her fists are clenched at her side. And I imagine that's at that point when Atticus comes running in with the burden, and John comes sort of stumbling in, cutting through the people, through Liat's attendants, who are making way for him. I don't know about the two of you, but I'm going. Atticus, are you ready to hunt?
Ready and willing.
Dr. Weiss.
I'm not happy about this. I will make that note very clear, but because this obviously has been placed here. This is a trap, and I don't like that we're heading into it. But I will go.
Very good. The rest of you, keep the house secure. If not, well, you'll all be dead by then. You two gather your things, whatever you need. I will be here, and we will go.
Okay.
We will find this queen of Reverie, and her head will be mounted above my fireplace by the end of this.
And I think we see, after you gather the things you want to bring, you will head up the root system in this particular room and follow the screams of Guinevere crying for help. And that's where we're going to take our first break. So let's do 10 minutes to allow for refreshment of beverages and such. And I will see you at the 20 mark. Okay? See you then. So you follow the root system upward. It's a bit of a climb. You find yourself, again, familiar with the fact that Hargrave House is always bigger on the inside than it is on the outside. But this is leading you upward, beyond where you would even recognize the roof to be. And as you climb and climb further, it's dark and darker. But then you get to a point where you feel that you've broken into some kind of outdoor space, because while you cannot see, you can feel breezes on your skin. You can smell smell the smells of the outdoors and hear the sounds of night animals or birds. And I think as you climb even further, yes, it smells fresh, no smog. As you climb even further, you start to see the blinking dim light of stars. And you climb this root, branch, stalk into a very foggy landscape that starts. It's almost as if it's in the very dim light of twilight when you enter here. And when you come off of this route, it has buried itself into the land, the foggy land that you set your foot upon. The sky is blue and purple with streaks of red. The fog is low to the ground with a tinge of red. You hear Guinevere's screams distant in the fog. You can't see anything. Just the sky and the ground.
I think we see Liat in sort of the most battle-ready attire she's ever been in. It's like the sort of crimson red studded leather. It looks to be of a more ancient quality, though, a more ancient uh, build, maybe something um, from ancient Assyria. But it's very finely made, and but she definitely looks ready for battle, and um, none of the attendants came with her, of course. They're keeping the house clean. Um, but she just sort of has her eyes on the distance, focusing on the sound of the scream of her screaming, and trying to sort of keep an eye out for her surroundings, sort of sizing them up.
What are the other two doing?
Atticus is trying to find tracks, evidence of Guinevere being dragged away, or signs of a struggle, or anything. Magic's involved, so physical evidence is probably minimal, but there has to be something he can work off of.
I think with John in particular, like this red fog. Has he seen it before? Because I think I remember maybe seeing it before. It's been a while.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, god damn it. He is just like very concerned and very alert, like he's waiting for Dame Georgie to jump out of at him because like he did get released from his lab, unfortunately. So he's out in the world. Who knows where? I don't know. It's kinda sad. Apparently you can't keep a pet vampire in your secret laboratory.
I think as you stay wary and look around, you hear what sounds like a approaching you with every step.
Does it sound big and heavy, or is it like
It sounds like the steady tread of something coming towards you, but it's not huge, it's just like regular.
But
but it's
Sir
coming towards
Atticus
us?
size?
Sir Atticus size, yeah.
Okay, so bigger than John, but not by much.
No.
Servant. She has a number of toys under her influence.
She does.
Oh,
And so, out of the fog, there is what looks like a wooden automaton. Very steady pace. Clothed in what looks like boys' clothes. Finely tailored boys' clothes. And in its hands is a platter of sort. And on the platter looks to be a gold invitation. And it will stop in front of you, bow, and then raise the platter so you can see the invitation on it.
I will pick it up and read it on Liat's behalf.
Yeah.
It is
Does it look
heavy.
like it's sentient, or does it look like it's just like automated to come greet us and give us this invitation?
Yeah, it just looks like it's automated and just to give the invitation. There doesn't seem to be any facial features on it, but just dressed like a little boy.
Got it.
Yeah, and the invitation feels quite heavy, Atticus, as if it is actually made of gold.
How
On it,
unpractical.
it says, Welcome, denizens of Hargrave House, to high tea in a few minutes, honoring and naming the Knave of Hearts to our beloved Queen of Hearts. High tea at high table in a few minutes. Follow the servant.
Atticus will fold the invitation, probably with a little bit too force, so it's bent out of shape, and just put it back on the little planter.
You don't think that
Oh, I most certainly do.
oh no.
Let us see the coronation of this knave. And if he's wise, stay out of our way.
I
And
don't
if he's
think...
not, then you'll kill him.
Uh, uh, Liat, I think we both have very different ideas about whom this knave might be.
What? It's
Who do you
Georgie,
believe
isn't
in?
it?
Uncertain. I've ideas.
Why does it matter?
I mean, Liat's probably right. We're going to have to kill whoever this is.
Oh, unless we can convince it otherwise.
Atticus
I
will
am.
pat the little servant. Lead on,
Mhm.
boy thing.
Takes its steady pace, like it'll do like a pivot turn, and then will start to make its steady pace down the path, and the fog will part at your feet as you follow this servant down and around this place called Reverie. And you see at numerous crossroads that you pass, there are etched signs that look like they've been knocked out of place or scribbled and scratched. And you get the feeling that this was a different place once. You get the feeling and the idea that this has gone through some terrible event. And you smell the smells of fresh blood nearby, but you cannot see where this blood is. Please tell me, in what manner is this space you find yourself an embodiment of a dream of yours, but here twisted into a monstrosity? What do you see in the fog that reminds you of a dream, but twisted?
Reminds her both of a dream, but also like a dream of a memory. Her recollection of her first home, that garden that was so lush and green and overflowing with new life. But here, it's all sort of blighted and rotten. There's fungus over most of it, and much of it is wilting. And the kind of sounds of animals that, when she dreams of this place, they're always so full of life and exuberant. Here, they feel despondent, and it's almost as if they're suffering in this place.
This is so very clearly a dream because John Weiss frequently enough dreams about like the ocean, swimming, and whatnot. Pleasant dreams. Perhaps even like his goldfish Leo shows up with them. It has twisted into that Leo, quote unquote, is now 1,000 times bigger. So like there's just this giant goldfish that is like way high overhead, just swimming in the air.
I think that there was once a dream of Atticus's to have just a quiet procession, to have that small church community again. I think here it's twisted in that there's a procession of flagellants that are singing the praises of the Queen of Hearts, spilling blood in her honor. And their voices kind of echo in the mist. Sometimes we see them, sometimes we don't. And their voices are just constantly moving about as though there's more than one procession hidden in the shadows.
Perhaps that's where the smell of blood comes from these flagellants that you hear in the fog. But you continue to follow the servant, and you see these things, and finally you come to what looks like a path up a mound that used to be grassy and lush, and now looks beaten and grainy. Up on this mound is a long table that looks full of guests, per se. And there seems to be empty seats near the head of it, possibly left for you. The servant will continue its march up the path to the table. And those at the table, you can't quite see them through the fog just yet, but the chatter turns into whispers amongst each other as you see them turn their heads and look at you, and then stoop to. It's really them. I think it is. I can't believe they're actually here. What do you do?
Follow the servant to the seats, wait for it to denote which one is Liat's, and as loudly and awkwardly as possible, dragging this stone chair back so that Liat can take a seat before pushing it forward in the most agonizing stone on stone sound.
Yeah, we'll comply. She'll go along with it.
It echoes across this space. No one puts their hands to their ears at the nerve-wrenching sound, but everyone stops talking.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I break your concentration? Please don't mind us.
Everyone stays silent. And in the silence, you start to hear clapping. Oh, bravo! Bravo! And out of the fog, towards the head of the table, comes the Queen of Hearts, this time wearing a ruby red gown, resplendent in jewels and finery, silk and brocade, studded with rubies and garnets and any kind of red jewel you can think of. And she approaches. A few of these automatons are carrying salvers with boxes as well as attendant items. You can't quite tell what they are, but there's like 4 of them. And each one, if you have taken a seat, each one will come to one of you waiting with a box on the salver. Please, please, please. This is high table. I apologize for not sending the invitation earlier, but you seem to be so busy with things around London that I couldn't bear to interrupt. But you're here now, and I welcome you to enjoy, partake of the finest of Reverie, and you will be present for the naming ceremony of our very own Knave of Hearts.
How thoughtful.
I always am. And she gestures for you to eat. Still can't quite see who else is at the table. But on the table are things that you would normally find at tea, scones and sandwiches and little teapots and cups. But you will notice that the cups look like they are red-rimmed, and the sandwiches may look a little bit pink on the edges, as do the scones. So, scones.
Liat just sort of stands up at the table, putting her hands on the edge of the table, and says, "I am Liat Kanaan. And who might you all be? Introductions are customary where we come from."
Ah, yes. I am the poor host. Not so good at the introductions. Let's commence, shall we? You can introduce yourselves. And almost as if it's natural, I think as fireflies with red lights will hover around each person as they move forward in their seat to introduce themselves to you all. And I think the first one is and unfortunately I think only Dame Georgie saw his face, but I think the first face is something that you might have seen on no, actually you didn't, because they were trying to keep it quiet. A twisted face. A bulbous face. A face of a man who looks rather wild and porcine as he snorts out of his wide nostrils and says, Fig! Fig is my name. I was known for pies. And then the fireflies move on to the next person. It looks like two seats as one. And instead of framing the face of the people that are there in that dual seat, it just seems like they're hovering around shapes. And I don't know if you would remember, but very briefly you see the two faces of James Allardyce, a younger and an older, and then go back into their energy forms. And you hear a burble / buzz when they introduce themselves as, "We are visitors through time." Fireflies goes on to the next. And I think, you wouldn't know this person necessarily because it's someone new. They've taken a new form. But I think you recognize the sinuous alien form that is halfway up their neck and around their shoulder, Liat. And you hear that hollow sound of their introduction as they grin, a very toothy grin at you, and say, "I am the collector." And then round the table it goes, and then I think you see the hulking form of vulture-like form of Atticus would recognize it as perhaps Patrick Fig. And then the fireflies flow down, and then you see like the more diminutive form of his mother, who looks like she's sitting there trying to be silent and long-suffering. She just shakes her head and, indicates they should move on. And finally, I think the last person is there. And I think you recognize the silhouette even before the fireflies flash onto his face. And the white hair is an indicator before you see the smiling face. Well, actually, you have never seen his face. But I think you hear his voice, and I think you'll recognize the dulcet tones of Ernest as he says, "Well, about fucking time you all got here."
So this is where you've been hiding.
Hiding? I haven't been hiding. I've been writing. Just seeing all of the interesting things and stories that it's been amazing. All the work that I've done for the Grand Guignol has been a culmination into this landscape, this terror. And he starts to look like he's about ready to, get effusive over what he's been working on. And then the hand of the Queen of Hearts kind of stills him on his shoulder. Now, this is for a ceremony that we welcome one who I am naming my knave. And I think you all know who this is. And out of the shadows behind her, lit by shadows that are holding a lantern, dressed in ceremonial robes, is the very wan face of Dame Georgie. And he's looking down at the ground, almost apologetic, but then kind of raises his eyes to you all and then puts them down again, especially once he gets his vision onto John. So, again, I apologize for the delay, but I figured this was the best time, tittering at the time travelers. And
My dear, I expected high tea at a royal court, not at a halfway house. And she looks down at Ernest and looks over at Dame Georgie.
oh, you're expecting something more
Lavish, outstanding, befitting royal.
I see. You mean like this? And then she kind of crosses her hands and then waves them outward. And then you see the fog draws back and up and then creates the vision of castle walls starting to surround you all. And you start to see red velvets, red gold, just streaks of this opulence start to form out of the fog surrounding you all. There's carpet underneath your feet. There are sconces of red candlelight and high paned windows that look out onto this foggy landscape. But you are in a castle, and the table is now full of copper salvers that are holding all of these high tea delights, and the teapots have pictures of not only the Queen of Hearts and her retinue, but also of her servants. One in particular by your hand, Liat, has a depiction of the huntsman, and he is approaching Guinevere on it.
What a flashy show. And she sort of thumbs some of the fabric that serves as a tablecloth. I can tell that you haven't been to London in quite some time, though. You would know that this particular fabric is quite out of fashion.
Is it the petty concerns of fashion that you worry about these days? Is that what your years of life have wrought?
Well, they certainly haven't concerned you in quite some time, have they?
No, not at all.
We can tell.
Your barbs are meant to hurt. But how much harder would it hurt if they were directed at you, or a beloved, perhaps? And she claps, or she snaps her fingers. And from a door in the room comes Guinevere. She looks like she's tied up in not ropes, but looks like slender branches. And she is flanked by the huntsman and an older man that John would recognize as Geppetto. Liat, get away. Just, I'm so sorry. Please, just leave.
Atticus, how sharp is the burden?
Atticus will look around to get her out. Probably deal with the huntsman. Not sure about the old man. We could test it.
We can leave the old man to Dr. Weiss. I'm sure it's more than he can handle. I'm sure he's more than capable of handling it. Then there's the matter of you, my dear. And when she says that, you didn't see her carrying around because it was strapped to her thigh. But she pulls out with essentially like a guitar blade. It's one of those handheld knives, but it has like three sort of blades pointing out from it, and she just points it at the queen's throat.
Oh, such violence and fire. Oh. So it comes down to not being civilized after all. You will always fall back on war. I see. She will gesture to the huntsman, and he will release Guinevere, and she will try to stumble to your arms, if you let her, and the huntsman makes to stop her, but I want to just ask, do you think that this is the real Guinevere or not?
Can I make like an investigation roll?
Sure, absolutely.
Um,
Presence or sensitivity?
I'll do presence.
Okay.
That's a 12.
Nice. I think This is the real Guinevere. But there is something about her that forever ties her to this place. And right now, it is the only thing helping to keep her alive, regardless of your magic.
What is it you want?
Sit, and I will tell you part of what I thought. She has not been bitten. Good question.
Fair enough. Bring my lady a chair. She will sit here with us.
And actually, there will be a chair that comes from the corner and will dance its way to sit next to you. The stone chairs from the outside have changed into those spindly golden chairs with the plush cushions and such. So, yeah, this chair will dance over and sit next to you. And then she sits as well. She has had the servants pour out wine, as well as the tea, of course. The tea has an uncomfortable red quality to it. And she will just raise her glass and contemplate it, as the others will look on, and either look at you all with gleeful looks or just in silence. And she'll say, originally, the plan was to come back to my darling London and seat a proper matriarch, or establish a female line instead of that playboy son of this Queen Victoria. That was an original plan. But I've been fascinated by you all ever since that night, that fire at the warehouse. That has fascinated me because I was not really aware that you all were involved. And then I find that you are all brought together by this strange house that seems so normal from the outside and yet so strange within. And ever since, I discovered that I wanted a different tack, a different way of seeing the world. I've already subjugated this place, but that tree and the energy seem to bring new life, a new way of leading into new things and new places. And I have you all to thank for that. Otherwise, I wouldn't have had my new knave here. He's such a loyal thing. And she will tenderly stroke his hand, and I think, John, maybe you're the only one that notices, but there's like a discernible shudder when she does that, even though he seems to be responding to it. And she will say, my plan has changed. And I like the idea of branching out and finding other lands to take control, share this bounty of strange stories. And I think Hargrave House is the key. I brought you here, or I wanted to bring you here to see if, firstly, you wanted to join the family, and if not, then see how much you really wanted to protect this place that you, well, work for, that has brought you together. You each have such interesting stories that I just could not tear myself away. And I've been enjoying everything ever since. But, as my playwright here has pointed out, sometimes to really make sure a story works, you have to test it. You have to test the resolve of the characters.
But you have already tested my patience, so you have that going for you.
You are so amusing, beautiful one. I admire your ability to have lived so long and yet learned so little. And you, Hunter, you from another place, another time. What have you learned across your journey? Oh yes, I know you are not from here.
Are you asking legitimately, or is this one of those rhetorical questions, lady? I see. I'll stay silent.
And you, doctor, a creator, a lover. Do you find yourself alone amongst this throng, or would you like a place to belong?
Frankly, I think that we could discuss something. However, I do not appreciate being hunted down like sports. I've encountered several of your servants so far, and each one seems to be more ravenous than the last, so you've already tested me. What more could you test? Maybe Liat. She could always use the test, rather than having someone else do it for her.
She smiles. I propose you enjoy the wonders of my land here. And I will ask you again. In this much time, and she holds up a rather large hourglass in her hand and proceeds to slowly turn it. But as she's turning it, you notice that the red sand inside seems to not just drop, but it does like a weird kind of like wavy shift as if it's sentient inside. And she turns it, and the sand starts to drift, but also starts to try to crawl back up into the bulb, into the top bulb. And so she will say, "This is the amount of time that you have." And she titters again over at the time travelers. Let my land show you its wonders. Show me you are resilient. Show me the power of Hargrave House. If at the end of the time you decide to join me, then all's well, and we shall discover these new worlds together. However, if you decide not to, then perhaps the hunt will continue after all. But in the meantime, enjoy my offerings. Let's celebrate the rising of my new Knave of Hearts, one who has captured the spirit of desire as well as yearning, but has been such a naughty boy. And this is where she's going to, well, let's just say it's going to get a little debauched as she's presenting it. And I think those at the table, obviously, of the more sadistic bent, may be a little bit more enthusiastic, and they'll clap and cheer, and then others will kind of just stay in their seats, staying silent, like Mrs. Fig and her son. Ernest is there, and he's writing furiously. I mean, he's been effusive, but then he's like kind of stopped and thought, and stopped and thought, and then just started writing on the foolscap that he had next to his plate, while stuffing some of these goodies into his mouth. And Guinevere is just going to lean into you, Liat, and say, "This is what I think she meant. This is just the beginning. This ceremony with Dame Georgie, she means to harness the power of all these people to help her bridge the gap between worlds."
I'm bored already.
Ever
You
so
don't have
much
to be here,
affection.
though, Guinevere. I will keep you safe. This time, I promise.
All right. And so, this is where the Queen of Hearts is going to, well, after the ceremony is done, she's going to present you again with a choice. The hourglass is running, and she will expect an answer from you all. Join her to unlock the power of Hargrave House, or you won't see another London dawn. So for the Mastermind threat, I know this is not usual, but I think the question that's presented will be, when? When in this period of time that she set, will she activate her plan? It's not where. You know where. It's just a matter of now when. And she has allowed you, after this ceremony, to explore Reverie and make your decision when the hourglass runs out. So, this is where you can gather clues as normal, investigate. There may be players in the game, of course, that are chomping at the bit to make it difficult for you, I'm sure. But there are also those that maybe you could tap. Utilize the power of the moves, utilize anything that you can think of to see about gathering enough clues. This is a set complexity of 4. Okay. So once she releases you from the high tea, then she will say, "You are welcome to make your quarters here in the castle anywhere you like. And you also have Reverie to contemplate. But remember, there is a time of reckoning." The hourglass shrinks and expands, almost as if it's breathing, and the sand will drop, but also some grains look like they're trying to climb back up into it. So, yes, you have some opportunities to contemplate. Yes.
Are there any locations besides the castle or within the castle that we can kind of scope out?
You can scope out the castle, you can go out onto the grounds, see what's around Reverie. This is described as an archipelago. So it has some limits, but it is something that is very, what's the word, organic. Because as you saw, first you were in a foggy landscape and then now you're within a castle. So it's got some reality shifting tendencies.
Oh,
Yeah.
perfect.
These things happen.
These things happen. Yep.
Atticus is going to go for a stroll. He has an idea.
Mm-hmm.
If this is a place sort of in between places and time, right, Mads?
Mm-hmm.
And given that I have, by like the start of the season, exhibited the ability to just walk places and find myself in different places, there is one particular person who you have not mentioned that we have on our moves and references sheet that I think would be very useful to talk with.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to take a stroll and see if I can bump into the man with this in the sun mask.
Oh, that's fun.
Always. Always
Uh,
fun. Yes.
Meanwhile,
Yes.
Dr. Weiss has opinions about our wayward Hargrave House companions. Yeah, he was more or less trying to like buy us some time to like investigate because like attacking like the Queen of Hearts outright at the table was a bad idea. We have been slaughtered there.
No. It would have been a good fight. We could do it.
Yeah, so probably Ernest first and then Dame Georgie next.
Okay.
Question, can we travel?
Around this place, yes.
I mean, what if I have an object of power and I want to go into the fragrant void?
Oh,
Let's see. What object of power do you have? Let me ask you that first.
My ring,
Nice. Okay,
my scarab ring.
cool. I'm gonna say that if you're going to try to break the, like, not the limitations, what am I trying to say? The boundaries of Reverie, at least as you've been pulled in, I'm gonna say this is risky. So tell me what you think will go wrong if you're gonna do this.
If this is the night move kind of risky, then I'm afraid that I'm afraid that I'll be trapped here, that I can't actually open a gate, and that I will remain stuck here.
I'm going to say it's worse in that it feeds back on you in some way.
Mhm.
That you will be changed. And possibly in a way that you're not going to like. In fact, I'm going to make it even more severe. I'm going to say that to try to break the bounds of this place, whatever, if it feeds back on you, whatever has happened to your reflection so far will happen to you.
All right, well, rolling with sensitivity then.
Yes.
Um, and since I'm using my object of power, which is my ring, do I get advantage, or is that just sort of the trigger for it?
Oh, hold on a second. Did you? I gotta check your stuff. Just want to make sure. Yeah, you're always scheming, so I'm not gonna worry about that. Yeah, you can go ahead and roll with advantage. Yeah, yeah.
Fabulous. And thankfully, I needed it.
Oh boy.
Um, that is going to be a 12.
Okay. All right. So tell me what this looks like. You using your ring and then getting to where you want to go. Tell me what you plan on doing.
So I think as the because I assume it's some sort of vampiric orgy that's happening with Georgie. I will excuse myself with Guinevere from the table.
Yeah,
But we wander outside, I think towards like a nearby sort of like babbling brook, but it's actually like babbling.
yeah.
Um, it's
It's actually like babbling in delirium.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Um, we try to sort of take a moment, and Liat will say, "I need you to stay here and be strong. I don't know
No,
this place very well.
don't leave me.
How you have been here before, and I'll make sure that you will leave here safely. But I do not know this place like you, so I need to outsource. But I will be
Right.
gone only a moment, though.
Time is strange here.
Yes, it is. But I care not for time. Just need you to be calm. Watch over this gate that I open.
I will.
I can't afford to bring you with me. I don't know what I'll find, and I don't know what will find me. Just stay here.
She will hush you with a passionate kiss on your lips
She
because
will breathe it in, take it in.
yeah,
It's the only thing that quiets her. And
yeah.
she'll linger on it for a moment and kind of brace, like take her by both shoulders and sort of gently push her away
Mm.
push herself away from Guinevere. And she'll sort of rub the honor scarab ring. Um, and she mutters a chant, and uh, sort of shimmers and flashes, and the scarab starts to flutter to life and starts to buzz around. And we see that it starts to sort of fly rapidly in a circle over and over and over again until finally it's sort of cutting through the fabric of this space, this universe, and cuts open this gate into a fragrant void.
You find yourself in a gray landscape. It smells stagnant, as if all smells have ceased. Who are you looking for here?
Well, since Sir Atticus told me that the beast is okay, I'm looking for him.
Think. Well, the Earl King has actually taken him away from here and removed him
I would
from.
like to find the king then.
Okay. Uh, well, with the 12, I'm going to say that you are able to trace the old path, and you are able to follow the tracks of the wild hunt as they have come away from here.
Yeah, can we say that too that like because she always wears this ring that maybe like the scarab catches the scent, like she whispers something to it to catch the scent of Tommy Rawhead and she sort of flutters off and sort of guides her that way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And while you're doing that, let's head over to Atticus. If you let your feet wander,
Mhm.
what are you thinking about to get you to the man in the sun mask?
I think of every single time I've met the man in the sun mask. It has been unexpected. It has been at a moment of his own choosing. And there's always been smoke, just a lot of like incense. And I just kind of, to borrow a phrase, following my nose, as it were, just seeing what could possibly lead me to this person.
The twilight's blues and purples of the sky start to swirl around as you start remembering the incense and the opium and the scents of the pipe and smoke. And you start seeing the fog around you like swirl in that kind of familiar pattern of being blown out of several mouths or being inhaled and swirling in circular patterns. And I think with a few deep breaths of this, as you smell the stronger scent, I think you will find yourself in a place dark with pillows strewn about. It's not the opium den, but something very similar to it. And you see masks of all sorts here. Moon masks, sun masks, masks of creatures with horns and tentacles and protrusions that you can't even think to describe. And you go through this place of different rooms, and maybe you do see the golden back of the man in the sun mask. His mask again goes not only in the front, but also around the back of his head as if it's a helmet.
Hmm.
And you see him blowing out the smoke. And you can hear him intone without looking at you. Ah. Is that you there that I see?
Indeed, it is. Room for one more.
Always. I enjoy sharing with those who partake of the pipe.
Atticus will sit down. I seek counsel.
Worlds upon worlds. Time and space has no meaning. I've told that to many that have come to see me. What of you, man out of reality?
I come to speak of one who seeks to take advantage of those worlds upon worlds. A queen out of time, out of space.
One who desires all to fall under her sway.
Rather greedy witch, wouldn't you agree?
Ah, well, sometimes there is everything and anything, and it is always subjective. But you asked me about worlds upon worlds. Ask me a question, and I will tell you what I can. Go ahead and roll. Reason. Yeah. Roll.
Information move.
Information move. Thank you. Sensitivity.
Yep. Ooh. If I mark the Mask of Comedy, that's using the mask ability, right?
Yes.
I'm not doing that.
What did you get?
Well, I haven't rolled it yet.
Okay.
I was just thinking everybody here is wearing a mask. Maybe I just kind of like when in Rome, get
Then grab one off of
advantage.
the wall. Jeez.
Oh, okay. I could just grab one. Nice. I grab a nice stag-headed mask and we call it even. All right. I'm just rolling plain dice. Ooh. 3 plus 5 plus 2 is a 10
Nice.
on an information move.
Okay. All right, great.
Thank you, dice.
What is your specific question before I give it to you?
What are the conditions necessary to be able to do what the queen is suggesting? I am trying to answer the direct question, when is she doing this? But if it's marching
Well,
across the multiverse, like,
of course.
this would be the guy to know.
Of course, but I mean, like, I'm like, always think contextually, right? I mean, like, I give
Yeah.
you the clue and then you just figure it out, like, once you have it all together. Because
Atticus effectively says, if you were this queen, how would you go about conquering worlds upon worlds?
he takes a long drag out of the pipe. And will blow it into your face, but with a swirl, like you can see the smoke forming patterns like in front of your face, and they swirl into 3 separate stones. One red, one yellow, one blue.
Okay.
3 stones. One red, one yellow, one blue.
One red, one yellow, one blue. Can I size him up?
Sure.
Could the man in the sun mask like fight? Like,
I mean, he's a dude in like golden pajamas, literally. I mean, like,
but like he might be a wizardly dude in golden pajamas. Like, I need to know.
Are you asking how buff the man in the sun mask is?
I want to know if I needed to throw down against the man in the sun mask, how in trouble would Atticus be?
I mean, I've always pictured him as being like, rather slender but wiry underneath. But again, he's wearing golden pajamas down to golden slippers. So
But like,
I mean,
he could hold himself in a fight, though.
it depends on the fight. I mean, wrestling,
Perfect.
maybe. I mean, like full on melee, like, crushing your head, maybe not.
That's what Atticus is here for.
Right. So, yeah.
As he turns to leave, Atticus will ask one more question.
Oh, wait, you actually, hold on.
Oh.
You also you're using the move, yeah?
What, the information move?
The man in the sun mask move.
Yeah.
Yes, I get another clue. You're right.
Yes.
The entire reason why I came to talk to this golden pajamaed weirdo.
Oh my gosh. He will like indicate the red and yellow and blue stones like in the smoke as if they're touchable. And then he will say, Thoughts. Thoughts and ideas grow from simple things. A stray thought, a stray idea, the seed planted exactly where it needs to be. And that is your clue. The seed of an idea.
As he turns to Atticus thanks him, and as he turns to leave, he says, "Would you consider yourself a friend of Hargrave House?"
Takes another drag out of the pipe. Considers it. I believe it depends on who I am talking to, and also which one of me are you talking to, Huntsman?
The one who is asking is Sir Atticus Wellington-Hughes, a hunter who is never in want of privilege.
Oh, wow.
Can I recruit the man in the sun mask to help us with the final boss?
Wow. Amazing. You are just such a... Wow. I've never seen somebody power game this game so hard. Damn. Okay.
Talking about? I'm just making friends and influencing people.
Well, you know what? Let's test this shit, okay? So go ahead. Use want of privilege. You gotta roll on that, don't you?
Yes, I do.
Uh-huh.
But like that's why I was asking how useful would it be to have to have this guy like around to throw down.
Hmm.
Come on, dice. Yes. 3 plus 6 plus 1 is a 10.
Okay.
Which
On
means
a 10. Yep.
on a 10, the person has a history with your family. One of the versions has a history with one of the versions of my family and will help you for the remainder of the phase, which you said there is only one phase. Any information they can give is in the form of a clue and at the keeper's discretion, and any roles associated with actions they help are taken with advantage.
Amazing. I want to shake my fist at you, Mike, but I'm also like clapping you as well. Damn.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Oh my god. All right. Do you want a clue now or you want to wait? I mean,
I don't think this move actually gives a clue.
oh, that's right. Any information, like you have to roll on it and stuff like that. But
yeah,
that's fine.
no, but
Okay.
like, I offer my hand to the man in the sun mask. Worlds upon worlds.
Tempting. And I think we see a shot of the Michelangelo painting as you're reaching out and then he's reaching up. John, so I'm going to say, like, after all the ceremony is done, or maybe, like, maybe even as it's happening, who knows? Ernest is at the table. Everybody else is either, like, cheering on what's going on for the ceremony or they have left. Yeah, specifically.
Yeah.
And Ernest is at the table writing. What do you do?
I sort of make my approach. Well, with that one in particular, he's a bit has a proclivity for these sorts of things. So once you see one of this type of thing, you'll probably see more of it. I've often had to mention him up after these types of things, or mentioned whatever unfortunate bedfellow he's gotten himself involved with.
Are you saying that you're really into this, Doctor, or are you saying that you do not condone these actions?
I'm
still writing.
More or less, I am a doctor first and foremost, and I'm trying to get a bit of your attention so we can have a conversation.
unless you are this pesky page of dialogue that I'm writing, then I think that might be a bit difficult.
Oh,
It
so you're
seems
not
like
actually writing whatever this is happening.
no. I mean, I wrote that one for the play of the rats in the walls for the Grand Guignol. This is old hat. It's fine.
Hmm. Yeah.
Why? Do you have something new I can add to my play?
Perhaps. I'm just more or less why you've thrown your hat in here with all of this.
Look at me, man. Look at me.
I am. That's the
You
weird
can
part.
see me. Yes. This is why it's exciting. I can be seen,
Yes,
and
you
I
have.
can be seen. And like he starts gathering up his foolscap, and then like his pens and whatever, and just kind of hugs them to his chest and says, "Once this is over, I can go back. I can show myself off and say, Ernest Marrett Savage is back!" And he tosses the pages up in the air. Oh, shit. Fuck.
And
Anyway.
you really think that she would let you go like that? Oh, you're just a pawn in all this scheme.
Pawn, schmawn, whatever. I'm getting some writing done.
Your place won't see the light of day. That's the important thing. So what if you were invisible before?
There's no light of day out there right now. And everything that I've written has been all about the darkness. Because we see the darkness out there and in here.
Mhm.
Which they hadn't seen in me because they hadn't seen me for however long. So...
Keep in mind, though, that many of the most famous writers of London have a ghost writer, someone doing the behind the scenes. Is it more important that your work gets shown off than yourself?
No! Absolutely not. I am a showman.
And I will try to rip one of the pages and then just start tearing it in front of him.
Oh my god! This is a very strange way to get an information move. I mean, or are you trying to risk getting punched is basically what's going to happen.
It's less about getting information from him and more or less removing one of the queen's pawns off the board.
Interesting. Wow. Yeah, so risky.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think will go wrong if you lose your nerve?
The fact that I'm going to end up in a brawl right here, right now. Like, I'm not, like, a physical fighter by any means, and Ernest seems like he has gotten into more than one fight himself because he has opinions.
He's very opinionated, yes. So, yeah, I mean, like, the way it's worse is he's just gonna punch you out, and then he's gonna, like, drag you off, and, well, you're trying to take him off the board. He's gonna take you off the board. Presence? Composure? I'll let you decide.
I think this is presence since I'm dealing with Ernest right now. Do I have disadvantage at all?
Oh yeah. Oops. Let's see. I don't think Geppetto's still in there.
Mm-hmm. And Liat is gone.
Yeah, exactly. So you should be fine.
Yeah, so I'll just roll flats.
Okay.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That is a 5.
Okay, so with the 5, I mean, yeah, Ernest is very earnest and will pretty much take offense to what you're saying, or like, get so manically wrought that he's going to just start flinging fists at you. And I think that this is when, like, some of the other people that were watching Dame Georgie go at it, I think they're going to, like, turn to you guys and then start cheering you on. Well, actually cheering on Ernest. Um, and maybe possibly make it an uneven fight because they're jerks, to say the least. And yeah, that's how it gets worse. Do you want to be dragged away?
I'm going to mark of I'm going to mark a mask.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. I won't narrate it now. I'll narrate later, but yeah. Anyways, that does not happen. I do not.
Yeah. So that brings you up to 7 to 9.
Mm-hmm.
What do you want to happen? And then I'll tell you how it's complicated.
I think I am trying to get him away from the table with like this influence of like this very sexy vampire orgy thing going on. And just sort of like have him come to a realization like just because you're writing all this work out doesn't mean it's going to get ever be put into action, be performed out of the live audience. She just wants you here because you're just another ticket into Hargrave House. You're being used.
I think he'll kind of wake up to that a little bit and say, I'm not used. I'm the user.
Yes, of
No
course.
one takes advantage of me.
Yes, and this is why we're having this discussion before we blow up all of her plans in our face. It's only reasonable that you get all the necessary information.
Oh, you're such a stick in the mud, John. I mean, just enjoy playing the game, enjoy the play, enjoy the show. And then he starts, like, picking up all of his stuff. And he's like, come, I'll show you my quarters. I'll show you where she has me becoming just amused and mused here and inspired. And he will take you off to, like, as soon as he picks up all of his stuff, he's going to, like, lock arms with you and they say,
Yeah.
let's go. I mean, better than watching that go on. I mean, that actually happens more than once a day, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He has terrible habits, honestly.
Honestly.
They've probably just gotten worse since he's gotten here.
He was worse? What?
I mean, he was decently better. It only happened every other week at London, where he got into significant damage with himself or with others. So
You have stories on Dame Georgie, really?
As I said, I'm a doctor, and Dame Georgie is, at most thing, like most people of his peers, very insecure.
Oh, you must dish. And then this is where he's really locking you in and, like, taking you away. Okay. So, yeah.
Would the condition I take be local gossip or something of that nature?
I mean, I want to make it really, really severe and call you gossipy bitch, but I don't know.
Yes, we're gonna do that.
Okay. All right. So, because I want to include some stars and wishes before people got to go, and also I want, if you have time, Jack, I would like to hear this mask.
No, that was me.
Oh, that was you?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. That would be great. Yes. So let's hear that first, and then we'll do stars and wishes as we close out the session.
Okay.
Prompt first.
Yeah.
When you are ready.
When I'm not choking.
Yes, exactly.
narrate a flashback to the time when you first realized that you and the person you lost weren't going to be together forever. I think it was during a performance of Dimitri's. I was in the audience watching, very delighted by the feats of athleticism being performed on stage. But like most things in life, it ended in tragedy. Simply not death. Death is sometimes a little bit too extreme, but there are things worse than death. And to a ballerina, a broken leg. Something that never quite heals right, despite my efforts to stay bedridden, to stay down, just to let it heal properly, so you can be back on the stage for years to come. I think it was also a sign of our own relationship heading into a downward spiral. Because he couldn't help but still go. Because his crew demanded it. They were in the middle of this performance, that the middle of the season. He could not stay down. They couldn't afford to do that. Couldn't afford to stay in the country if he tried to do that. And no matter what I offered my home. I offered to pay money to even to the ballet performance, just to like hire someone else. Wasn't enough. We weren't meant to stay together forever. And I'm ashamed that I thought it was.
Thank you. All right. So that is part one of the Mastermind threat. More to go for the part two. Stars and wishes, real quick before we head out and finish.
I can start. I'm happy for all of the like little bits in the Liat and John vulnerable scene. Um from John having to convince Liat that a physical is in her best interest, to Liat being very patient and describing that we've gotten a little bit past leeches at this point, my dear Guinevere. It was a fun interaction, even with the audacity of, yeah, I know the lab is your like secret personal sanctum that no one is supposed to go into, but I sent my girlfriend in there. Hope you don't mind. You won't mind. I don't care. Um, that was fun. It was nice to see a different side of Liat too, just in this session before everything, hit the fan. Just from honestly being distraught about Abdurrahman to letting go the Atticus thing and just like being open, and also just being happy for a little bit with Guinevere. Like, it was good to see that for Liat. And then the turn, the swerve, the return to form because somebody dared to threaten Guinevere, and just the constant sass. That was well played. Another star was John. Thank you for joining me in the legacy scene. That was very good. There was that tension, those unasked questions, the kind of heartbreak where it's like, oh man, you remind me of family. That was you played it well. So thank you for that. And Mads, thank you for presenting a different sort of queen at the end of this session. Compared to last season, Mab did not care what we thought. Queen of Hearts, desperate for approval. And it's very fun. I like all of the different callbacks to threats and how we're gonna have to all deal with them. I appreciate you rolling with me in leveraging possibly one of the most busted moves in the Legacy playset. And I look forward to seeing what the Man in the Sun Mask brings. That is my wish. Also, a fight, just a really big fight, so that Atticus can use the 4 remaining marks on the burden.
Yeah, it's a wish of mine too. I want violence. I want, yeah, I wanna fuck around, and um, and I want to see John get up in the gig. I want to see him throw down. I want to see him, throw hands somewhere. Give him a sword. I don't know. We'll figure it out. You
Get
could take
him a
like a
gun.
yeah, well, yeah, a gun would work too, or like even a syringe, just like poke people with it. But yeah, no, it's good to be back. It's been a minute, so I'm glad we're all back here and doing the thing and getting it together. Yeah, individually, I really liked all the vulnerable scenes. Thank you, both of you, but especially Chaotic for indulging in my bullshit some more, especially with like the lab and all that. Like Mike mentioned, I know that's like a sacred space, so I appreciate you for letting me violate it for a little bit. But it was fine. I mean, it was tame. It was just a 2 physical examinations, nothing untoward. Um, what else did I have fun with? Oh, I love that you not only are you going into this with 3 conditions now, but you have one of my favorite conditions now in a game, which is Gossipy Bitch. So my kudos to you for taking that. Not only is that condition, but also just sticking with the conditions and just being like, whatever happens, happens. And I'm very excited to see how that plays out next time. Other wish is to meet the Earl King and get to use my Mother of Monsters move on him. Because I wanna, have a nice little sit down and hopefully get some more allies to usurp her kingdom and bring ruin to her in every capacity. Um, but I am hoping to see more of the Queen as well. And like seeing her like really get in there and I want to see the Axeman throwing his axe around and Atticus lopping his hands off and all that stuff. And I want to see Geppetto and Pinocchio double team John Weiss and John have to fight off Pinocchio, this little wooden boy. Because I think it'd be fun. But yeah, otherwise, yeah, Mike, thank you for indulging me in my vulnerable scenes. I really liked yours with John, and yeah, I like their sort of new dynamic now. You know, she knows what he wants, which is violence, and she wants him to commit violence, and it's like where do I direct this weapon? Oh, at our mutual enemy. Very good. And then Mads, thank you for running this for what was it, 20 sessions, 19? I don't know. 28, 47. But no, yeah, I hope that you're having fun with it, and I'm just excited to see how you wrap this up. Oh, and stars for like kind of like what Mike already mentioned, but like lots of the different callbacks. I thought that was fun. Like especially like the clues, just kind of calling back to the first session. I thought that was fun.
Oh my god, there's so many servants. I'm so scared. I just love like how everybody split off with like, oh yeah, we're gonna gather our allies, and John's like, oh god, she has too many allies. I need to get rid of them. Uh, and so I'm just like, okay, let's go through Hargrave House. Perhaps the figs. John has not met any of the figs before, so like that's gonna be fun. Like a majority of these people, John has not met or interacted with because, like, besides like the people of Hargrave House, like it's just wild. But like he has no like he's met Geppetto. I think he's met the Huntsman, maybe, and that's about it. Like met the Queen of Hearts, Ernest, and Dame Georgie, of course. But yeah. John has no idea what's going on, and he's so confused, and he's just like he's trying. He's so anxious. Because like both both Liat and Sir Atticus, I imagine the first moment they got up and left the table, and then John's just staying there, uh, and it's just like trying to have like this conversation. Ernest, I'm just like, what's going on here? Are you writing like the description down of like what's going on here? No, you're writing your own play. Why are you doing that here? Let's go. So yeah, that was a very fun scene. I'm glad that Ernest is back in some regard. Uh, and the fact that he's visible now is just tickles uh me, and I just love gossipy bitch. I'm so glad now I get an excuse to be like gossipy for the rest of the Mastermind threads effectively. Because you know I'm going to gossip about Liat.
Fine. Oh my gosh. And who are you gossiping with? Another gossipy bitch. So it'll be fine. You and Ernest can totally go to town. It's great. I love it. Oh my gosh. We just need that kind of thing, that kind of energy in this. Amazing. Amazing. So, yeah, all the stars, especially for the vulnerable moves. I mean, like, just trying to have the heart to heart before the storm hit, and then, getting you to Reverie. Oh man. I mean, like as usual, it's like, slow burn, lopsided. It felt lopsided to me, but I'm hoping that you all felt like you were getting good spotlighting on, hey, here's your particular situation, and then allowing you to do what you felt is going to advance, um, you know, trying to investigate this thing. So I had fun. I I I mean, I didn't even realize I was going to enjoy playing Ernest so much. So like that's fun. Um and then like playing off of Liat being snarky as hell, which I love. Oh my gosh, that was great. And then Atticus just power gaming this thing. What the fudge, man? Amazing. And then John just trying to keep it together as an ordinary man. Like trying to make it through the supernatural threat. Holy crap. I'm so sorry, but not sorry.
Like two of my moves no longer work at all. Like it is going to be a fight for my life.
Right. Right. Oh god. Okay. So anyway, yeah, wishes. There's gonna be some fun besides the fighting, because that's definitely gonna be included, especially for Liat, like battle ready, and then Sir Atticus, of course, like still on the hunt, just a different one. Like all these players, all these things that could possibly threaten you all. I mean, I want to throw them all at you, create like some like that last stand kind of thing, and then give you the energy that I know this campaign really deserves, because you guys have been awesome this whole time. Again, putting up with bullshit. I'm gonna say, as a little hint, we're gonna end with a stinger.
Oh no.
You're all involved in your various plans, in Reverie or out. Back at Hargrave House, the servants have closed the door to the rooted frame, and they proceed to go back down to their various duties here at Hargrave. And two things happen without them noticing. The roots grow out from under the tree and throughout the house, reaching in entrenching, possibly infecting Hargrave, and reach into the basement lab and grow, reaching into and onto the table with the parts and the sand. Some roots grow into the room where the sand was kept, and they seem to be creating a pattern of sorts where they want to move the sand around, and they're creating runes with the sand and taking it into itself as they gather up the sands and the parts, and we cut to black for the end of our episode tonight. See you all next week. Bye.